and welcome to Courage Zone, episode 18. I am your host, Sergio. In today's episode, I wanted to be able to sort of give you a little glimpse of the life of a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. And the reason is because I just thought I'd share, day to day, what some of us go through. And not all go through the exact identical situation or same thing. That's what makes us all unique, is that we tend to struggle with various things. And what I may be struggling with, it's not necessarily what somebody else struggles with. They may struggle with something different that I may not have that much difficult, but I still struggle with it a little bit. Anyways, just reading off a disclaimer. CSA is deeply distressing and traumatic experience that unfortunately affects many individuals globally. It involves any sexual activity inflicted upon a child by an adult or older child, including but not limited to physical contact, exposure, and exploitation. This subject matter can invoke strong emotions and trigger distressing memories for survivors and listeners alike. My podcast is committed to raising awareness about important issues like CSA and providing a platform for constructive conversations. However, it's important to note that the discussion I have may be unsettling or uncomfortable for some listeners. I encourage you to prioritize your emotional well-being while engaging with this content. If you are a survivor of CSA or someone who knows a survivor, please remember that help and support are available. Organizations such as the Gatehouse offers confidential support, resources, and guidance to survivors and their loved ones. Throughout our episodes, I strive to approach this topic with sensitivity, empathy, and respect for survivors' experiences. I aim to foster a supportive environment where survivors feel heard and validated. Thank you for tuning in and joining me in this important conversation. Together, we can contribute to greater understanding and support for survivors of childhood sexual abuse. Now, before I get started, I want to mention, because it's been a couple of weeks since I've last done a podcast and just been a little bit busy with certain things. First off, I'd like to mention that I'll be away from October 15th through December 10th. I am going away. I cannot be contacted. It is going to a place where to help me with my mental health, to help me with my PTSD, to help me with my anxiety, my panic attacks, the assault that occurred a few years ago, which brought up a lot of issues in regards to my CSA. That's one. The other is I took part in a documentary. There's a person that came up from the United States, Indiana to be exact, and they wanted to film basically the life of a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. And it covered a lot of topics. Basically, I was in front of a camera for approximately 2 hours. It was very intense, very emotional at times. And I'll keep you all posted because when it comes out, I will make sure that I somehow put a link on my podcast to the interviews. And I wasn't the only one sort of, being part of this documentary. There was at least 10 to 15 other men and women, mostly men, which I was totally shocked. But still, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm assuming it's going to take at least 6 months for everything to clear up and for producers to go through and so on and so forth. But I'll keep you posted. Anyway, as I mentioned before, today's podcast, I wanted just to sort of describe or just go through the life of a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. And I'm going to call it Navigating the Shadows. So, childhood sexual abuse is a deeply distressing experience that leaves indelible marks on those who endure it. This delves into the multifaceted reality of living as a CSA survivor, exploring the immediate and long term impacts, the journey towards healing, and the essential role of support systems. Sorry about that. Through an examination of personal narratives, psychological research, and societal implications, we gain a comprehensive understanding of survivors' experience. So, the immediate impacts. The immediate aftermath of a CSA is a period marked by intense confusion and trauma. Victims often experience a range of acute psychological responses, including shock, disbelief, and fear. For many, the abuse shatters their sense of safety and trust. Tell me about it. That's the first thing. Children who are subjected to such abuse often feel isolated and helpless. Yes, I did. Unable to comprehend or articulate the gravity of their experience. During this period, survivors may exhibit behavioral changes such as withdrawal from social interactions, regression to earlier development stages, or sudden changes in academic performance. Physical symptoms such as unexplained pain or discomfort may also manifest. The immediate impact is not just psychological, but also include physical trauma, which can be particularly distressing for young survivors. The long-term psychological and emotional effects. The long-term effects of CSAs are profound and multifaceted. Survivors often grapple with a range of psychological disorders, including post-traumatic stress disorder, otherwise known as PTSD, depression, and anxiety. These conditions may manifest through flashbacks, nightmares, and persistent feelings of worthlessness or guilt. Survivors frequently struggle with low self-esteem and difficult in forming and maintaining healthy relationships. The psychological impact of CSA can also lead to difficulties with trust and intimacy. Many survivors find it challenging to establish or sustain close relationships, as the trauma often creates barriers to emotional closeness. This can result in a cycle of isolation and loneliness, further exacerbating mental health issues. In addition to mental health concerns, CSA survivors may experience disruptions in their identity and self-concept. The abuse can lead to a fragmented sense of self, where survivors struggle to reconcile their past with their present identity. This can result in feelings of shame, self-blame, and confusion about one's worth and place in the world. Then comes the healing journey. And so, healing from CSA is a complex and individualized process that requires time, support, and resilience. The journey towards recovery typically involves several stages, each presenting its own challenges and milestones. Now, the first one is seeking professional help. One of the first steps in healing is seeking professional help. Therapy is a crucial component of recovery, providing a safe space for survivors to process their trauma. And remember, folks, if you're going to take that first step to go get therapy, make sure that the therapist has experience, a lot of experience in dealing with CSA or physical abuse, mental abuse, things like that. Because that will be the sort of game changer to have such a therapist. Different therapeutic approaches can be beneficial, including cognitive behavioral therapy, otherwise known as CBT. which helps survivors reframe negative thought patterns, and trauma-focused therapy, which addresses the specific impact of the abuse. For many survivors, engaging in therapy is a transformative experience. It allows them to confront and work through their trauma in a structured and supportive environment. Therapists often employ techniques such as EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, to help survivors process and integrate traumatic memories. Number 2, building support systems. Very important. The role of support system in the healing process can be overstated. Family, friends, and support groups play a significant role in providing emotional support and validation. However, building a supportive network can be challenging for survivors, particularly if their abuse was perpetrated by someone close to them. Support groups, especially for CSA survivors, offer a unique form of solidarity and understanding. Sharing experiences with others who have faced similar challenges can be profoundly validating and empowering. These groups often provide a sense of community and shared experience that can aid in the healing process. Number 3, developing coping mechanisms. As survivors work through their trauma, developing effective coping mechanism is essential. These strategies might include mindfulness practices, which I do quite often, creative expressions through art or writing, never been good at that, and physical activities such as yoga or exercise. I meditate. Coping mechanisms help survivors manage stress and emotional upheavals, contributing to their overall well-being. Resilience is a key factor in the healing journey. Many survivors demonstrate remarkable strength in their recovery process, finding ways to adapt and to thrive despite the trauma that they have endured. Personal growth and empowerment often emerge as survivors gain a deeper understanding of themselves and their experiences. So next is the challenges and the barriers. So despite the progress that many survivors make, they often encounter significant challenges and barriers throughout their healing journey. Societal stigma. That's big for me. I've faced this many times. And I know that my close-knit friends often say, how can this be? Like, how? Like, I really don't understand how people think this way. Well, they are just ignorant, uneducated about, about this particular area. Societal stigma surrounding CSA can be a substantial barrier to healing. Survivors may face judgment or disbelief when they disclose their experiences, leading to feelings of shame and isolation. The stigma can also discourage individuals from seeking help, as they may fear being misunderstood or blamed. Efforts to combat stigma are essential for creating a more supportive environment for survivors. Public awareness campaigns, educational programs, and open dialogues about CSA can help to reduce stigma and foster a culture of empathy and support. Institutional challenges. Navigating institutional system can present additional challenges for survivors. This includes seeking justice through the legal system, assessing appropriate medical and psychological care, and dealing with social services. Survivors may encounter bureaucratic hurdles, lack of resources, or inadequate support within these systems. Advocacy and reform efforts are crucial for improving institutional responses to CSA. This includes ensuring that survivors have access to comprehensive and empathetic support, as well as creating policies that prioritize their needs and well-being. Number 3, internal struggles. Internal struggles such as self-blame and shame are common among survivors. Tell me about it. Been there, done that. The internalization of guilt and responsibility for the abuse can hinder the healing process and contribute to ongoing emotional distress. Overcoming these internal barriers often requires a combination of therapeutic support and self-compassion. Building self-esteem and reframing negative self-beliefs are important aspects of addressing internal struggles. Survivors benefit from learning to recognize and challenge self-critical thoughts and developing a more positive and compassionate self-image. The role of advocacy and awareness. Advocacy and awareness play a vital role in supporting survivors and addressing the broader societal issues related to CSA. Many survivors become advocates to change, using their experiences to raise awareness and drive policy reform. Survivor-led organizations and initiatives work to provide resources, support, and education to those affected by CSA. These efforts help to amplify the voices of survivors and promote a greater understanding of the complexities of trauma and healing. In addition, advocacy efforts often focus on improving legal protections for survivors, enhancing access to support services, and fostering a more informed and compassionate public response to CSA. And so, in conclusion, the life of a CSA survivor is marked by profound challenges and a journey of healing that requires immense strength and resilience. From the immediate impact of trauma to the long-term psychological effects, survivors navigate a complex landscape of recovery and self-discovery. Support systems, therapy, and personal coping mechanisms play critical roles in facilitating healing and empowering survivors to reclaim their lives. Addressing the challenges of stigma, institutional barriers, and internal struggles is essential for creating a more supportive environment for survivors. Advocacy and awareness efforts contribute to a broader understanding of CSA and the needs of survivors, promoting a culture of empathy and justice. Ultimately, the journey of a CSA survivor is a testament to human resilience and the capacity for recovery and growth. By fostering a supportive and informed society, we can better support survivors in their healing journeys and work towards preventing future abuse. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. We've covered a lot of ground, delving into the profound and often painful realities faced by survivors of childhood sexual abuse. And my last episode anyway, we've heard from experts sharing personal stories and discussed the complexities of healing and resilience. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible strength that it takes to confront and share these experiences. For anyone listening who has been affected by CSA, please remember, your experiences are valid, and you are not alone. Healing is a journey. Remember that. It's not a short journey. It's an ongoing journey. I'm often asked, when will I be normal? I don't know what that word is or the definition of what is normal, because I can look at somebody who hasn't gone through what I have, and I don't know if they're normal. I don't know what normal is. But anyways, at the end of the day, it's about healing in the journey. The journey is forever, unfortunately. But along the way, we're going to have our ups and downs. And that's where the resources, reaching out to resources, having constant group sessions in your healing journey, having a proper support system, whether it be a spouse, significant other, brother, sister, and sometimes parents, but not in my shoes, not in my case. And it's okay to seek support along the way. Remember, it's okay to seek help. and to take things one step at a time. Each step, no matter how small, it is a move forward towards healing and reclaiming your power and your voice. Thank you for joining me today and for engaging with this crucial conversation. Your willingness to listen and learn is an important part of breaking the silence and fostering a more supportive world for survivors. If you found this episode meaningful, please consider sharing it with others who might benefit from it. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us continue these important discussions. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. We'll be back soon with more conversations that matter. Stay strong and keep moving forward. And goodbye for now.